Entertainment and records.
What's up, MMA fans? Coming at you, Ultimate Fighter Season 5 finale. Got some great fights on this card. Really looking forward to it. So, without any further ado, going to get to it. First fight: Brian Garrity, Matt Wyman. Not going to talk too much about this fight. Garrity lost in the first round to Lauzon, got dominated on the ground, and eventually choked out. Matt Wyman, 6-3 overall, went 0-1 in the UFC. Looked great against Marlon Sims. Looked horrible against Manny. I think he's going to follow Joe's game plan, take Garrity down, work his ground and pound, and eventually get the TKO in the second round. Next fight on the card, Leonard Garcia, which we know from that awesome fight with Roger Huerta, and Alan Monster Lobster Berube. Garcia has way too many tools, way too many skills for the Lobster. I mean, if Cole Miller dominated him, man, Leonard Garcia is going to destroy him. So, and I think that's what the point of this fight was. And Dana wasn't too happy with him for instigating that street fight, and Leonard Garcia put on a great show. So he's like, give one guy a gift, punish the other guy. So Leonard Garcia, first round submission. Next fight, Rob Emerson, Gray Maynard, two of my favorite guys from the show. Rob Emerson started off his career 0-4. Since then, he's 6-2 professionally. Of course, he lost those two fights on the Ultimate Fighter, but I really think he won that second one. Great stand-up, great takedown defense. A lot of people don't know this, but his first fight ever was against Jens Pulver. Jens Pulver has actually fought a fair amount of guys on the show. And he's a hard guy to put away. All of his losses have been by decision. So Gray Maynard, great wrestler, destroyed Wayne Weems. Had a nice back and forth match with Melendez. Finally choked him out. Trains with Randy Couture, so he's got a good camp. He's only 2-0. He's young in his career, and I just think that he's going to be able to get Emerson down and going to be able to work his ground and pound. So, but I'm looking forward to the fight. I hope it makes the card. Next fight, Andy Wang, the guy who had probably the worst game plan in the history of MMA when he fought Brandon Melendez. Considering he was fighting a guy who had been, out of his 5 professional losses, he had been sub 4 times, and Wang has a decent submission game. But he wanted to stand up and bang with him. Maybe that's why he's 5-6 overall. 10 of his 11 fights have gone to decision too, and that's usually not a good way to become, for me to become a fan of his. But let's say Wang has a solid jiu-jitsu game. Cole Miller has a way better jiu-jitsu game. He's 11-2 overall, 8 submissions. He's very rangy, very lanky. Kind of got the same body shape, body frame as Nate Diaz. Controversial loss to Joe Lauzon just because of the elbow. I still think Lauzon would have won the fight because after he rushed in, took control, he pretty much had it. But he's got very good Brazilian jiu-jitsu. He dominated the Monster Lobster in his fight. So I'm going to go Cole Miller by second round submission. All right, next up, Brandon Melendez, Joe Lauzon. I really, really hope this fight makes the main card. This is if Lauzon can get him down, Lauzon will dominate. If it stays standing, Melendez has a really good chance of winning this fight. Melendez is a big lightweight. His natural weight to fight at is welterweight. So, and I see him moving up after probably this fight because he has a tough time making weight. Like I said, Melendez, 4 out of his 5 losses by sub. If this fight goes down, Joe will choke him out. Joe will slap something on him. I think it'll probably be a choke. I think he'll get his back eventually after some ground and pound, and Lauzon will win by rear naked choke in the second round. Most people might not know this about Joe, but he's fought, I think, 11 of his fights have been at 145. So he's fighting bigger than his natural weight. But go Joe. He's my boy. I want to see that fight. Next fight, Floyd Sword, Thales Leitas. I've never seen Floyd Sword fight. Doing a little research on him. 9-2, 6 wins by sub. Lost to Marvin Eastman, lost to Bobby Southworth. Those are the only 2 guys that he's fought that I've heard of. Those are the only 2 guys that have beat him. He's big for a middleweight. He's fought a lot at light heavyweight, but he's an undersized light heavyweight. Fights at about 202 pounds. Thales Leitas. If anybody saw that Pete Sell fight, he absolutely punished Pete Sell for 3 rounds. I felt bad for the guy, and usually I'm like, they make their decision, they get in, but I was like, damn, I feel bad for this kid. So He lost to Martin Kampman. That's his only career. That's the only loss in his career. He's pretty well rounded. He's great on the ground, both Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and ground and pound, which makes him real dangerous down there. I think he takes the fight there. I think he wins by TKO in the first. All right, Roger Huerta, Doug Evans. Was hoping for Roger to fight somebody else, but it happens. The SI cover boy is going against Doug Evans, who is 5-0, but he's only fought in the Alaskan Fighting Championships, and I am sorry, I've never seen the Alaskan Fighting Championships, so I don't know shit about this guy. I think 2 of his wins by decision, 1 by TKO, and 1 and 2 by sub. I mean, it's pretty all over the board. Huerta's now 3-0 with a win here. 4-0, really positions himself for a contender spot in the lightweight division. So I look forward to seeing Huerta because he's a really exciting fighter. I'll say Roger Huerta by knockout in the first. All right, Manny Gambieri and Nate Diaz. Now, I had stated that I think Manny's a really bad matchup for Nate, and I'm going to stick to that. I do think that Manny's bad matchups are guys that are just as strong or stronger and wrestlers, and that is kind of, when I did some research on Manny, I found out that his only professional loss is to Sean Shirk. Strong wrestler, yeah. But Manny's fairly well-rounded, but he's going to have a tough time striking with Nate because Nate's so damn tall. Nate's 5'11", so he's got that kind of Cole Miller frame. And one of his 2 losses, it was in the WEC, and it was to Hermes Franca, who's now fighting for the championship. He's got a decent stand-up game, great Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as he's displayed in every single fight. He's a Cesar Gracie Jiu-Jitsu student, so. But I see Manny as a bad matchup for him. I think Manny will do the same thing. Manny doesn't take chances when he gets a guy on the ground. Pretty much, doesn't raise up, doesn't do anything. He'll just kind of lay on him, and yeah, they'll stand him up, but he'll be able to take him back down because Nate Diaz's takedown defense isn't that great because he doesn't mind being on the ground, but he's going to have a tough time subbing Manny when he's laying right on top of him. So I see it going a lot of the way the Joe Lauzon fight went. So Manny by unanimous decision. All right. Main event time. I could talk about this fight forever, so I got to try to slow it down a little bit. But Jens Pulver, 21-7-1 against BJ Penn, 10-4-1. Now I'll start with Pulver. Since defeating BJ Penn back in 2002, he's 9-5. Not a great record. Notable losses: Gomi, Mock Sakurai, Dwayne Ludwig, Joe Lauzon, Dean Thomas. Notable wins: Rob Emerson in Emerson's first fight, BJ Penn, Dennis Hallman, Carl Uno, and Joe Stevenson. Now, we just found out that he's recently been considering, like before the show, he was kind of considering retirement and going to be on the coaching end. So I don't know if he's lost his competitive fire or what that's all about. But I don't like how he always talks about how I already beat this guy. Well, it was BJ's 4th fight. You were already a seasoned professional at that time. So, BJ Penn, man, guy's got a resume that anybody in the MMA game would die for. First non-Brazilian to win the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu World Championships. His only losses have come to Jens Pulver, who's a former champion, Lyoto Machida, who is a light heavyweight, GSP, which a lot of people thought that BJ did more damage in that fight and won that fight. I'm one of those people, and it was a split decision. And Matt Hughes. What would have happened if he wouldn't have separated his rib? He was dominating that fight, both rounds. So, notable wins: Dean Thomas, Carl Uno, Matt Serra, Takanori Gomi, Matt Hughes, Dwayne Ludwig, Rodrigo Gracie, Renzo Gracie. That was Gracie's best fight too. Renzo Gracie. He's never fought that good before, and he still lost. Pound for pound, my opinion, he's top 3 in the world. I think there's not a more naturally talented fighter out there than BJ Penn. I think he's very hard to train for because of that flexibility and that dexterity that he has in his legs. I think he's exceptional in all aspects of MMA. You hear stories about how he went when he started training in judo, and he was a white belt or whatever. He started tossing brown belts around, and the fight game just comes so naturally to him. The only question that we've ever had with BJ is his conditioning. I'm looking for his conditioning to be top notch. I think he did a great job this season coaching and working with the guys. So I'm going to say BJ Penn by second round. Rear naked choke. I see it going a lot like the Matt Hughes fight win. I think he's gonna, he's gonna have him down on his back, and he's gonna rock him with a punch or an elbow or something, and he's gonna, Pulver's gonna try to get out of it, give up his back, and I look for probably a body lock to go on, a body triangle, and then sink in the choke. So, all right, well, that's my predictions. Really looking forward to this event. Of all the June events, this is the one I've been looking most forward to. UFC victory tomorrow. Watch it. It's going to be awesome. Night Train, Shockers, and I'm out.
I'm a player, 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 oh, I'm a player. If you see me looking clean cut, matching from head to toe.